10.2 just got announced. PTR is up. Let's start looking at what's coming for professions. Now, very sadly, none of the interviews they've published have asked any questions about professions. We don't know what their philosophy is or what their ideas is going into 10.2. Professions were like a main focus of the actual 10.0 patch. Judging by the list of new recipes so far, not so much a focus for 10.2. Not so much a focus. But we'll look through it. Obviously, the upgrade system with the crafted crests is coming back. This is, by the way, a list of all of the recipes in the current PTR build, all the new recipes. So we have the crests coming back. We have a couple of new optional reagents. We have a toy. We have a new verdant combatant gear, and there's one epic recipe. That's the main thing overall here. Now, the most interesting thing so far, in my opinion, is if you go to the Enchanted Aspects crest and you look at the crafting cost. And it requires Dracothests still. It seems to be pretty much the same cost as the current Aspects crest. So obviously, what we've typically seen in the past is that recipes get changed and recipes get added. So I would kind of expect this to change and be turned into some kind of Emerald Dream patch type item instead of something from the old patch, particularly something so tightly tied to the last patch's zone, because Dracothist is crafted from Saralak glow spores, which you only get in Saralak Cavern. So it's kind of weird because Blizzard has very typically not done that. They almost always, when they get new materials, they force you to mainly focus on the new zone. But we could see it stay this way. We'll just have to see. It's going to be interesting. Either way, whatever. Either it's going to be Dracothist again, or it's going to be some kind of new item that's going to be the main focus. Obviously, Dracothist is probably going to trend down for a while longer. But you may want to consider having a couple of extra alchemists ready to go. At least once we see the further builds coming along. Now, the next thing we have that I wanted to talk about is a couple of new embellishments. So optional crafting reagents that add embellishments. There's 3 of them. One for leatherworking, one for jewel crafting, and one for tailoring. So the Dream Tender's Charm, this one gives you stacking critical strike while you're above 70% health. This seems like it's gonna be not popular. I feel like I don't think this is... It depends on how strong the buff is, but in most hard content, you're gonna often be sitting below 70% health and lose the buff, and then you have to stack it again, which just doesn't seem good at all. Then you have Verdant Conduit. Spells and abilities sometimes provide secondary stats. I mean, obviously you have to go into the spell details to figure out if this is good. This is a very similar type of effect to the elemental, to the Lariat, which was super strong and popular. So this is all a numbers game. This could be the new go-to embellishment, or it's going to be no one's going to use it. But based on what they like to do with adding, keeping things, or focusing on like the new expansion stuff, I think it's very likely that the Verdant Tether here is actually going to be fairly good. I would not be surprised to see that. We also have a couple of new materials here, like the Dreaming Essence, which you get from extremely powerful foes in Amirdrasil. This is probably going to be similar to Shadowflame Essence, and we should see that in a lot of recipes. So this is the Verdant Tether, by the way. I clicked the wrong one. Verdant Conduit is here, which also requires Dreaming Essence and a Dreaming Antler fragment, which you get from skinning from the new zone, presumably. Then you have the Verdant Tether. This is the last one. Provides the following property when healing an ally: tether and increase versatility. So I'm assuming that this increases the versatility of you and the ally you tether, which I think sounds really good for a healer. I'm not super up to date on what embellishments healers run, but adding versatility to someone else increases their damage, increases their survivability. Depending, is it only one at a time? How does this actually work? This could be like something every healer will run, or it could be something that no one runs. We don't know. definitely sounds good for PvP in particular. We're very often healing the same target, and you can almost have a permanent buff. But as usual, this is sort of it's a what's it called? It's a numbers game, a tuning game. Then from the gear side, obviously we have all of the verdant combatant pieces. They have been a staple of this expansion so far. These entry-level PvP pieces, very similar to what we've seen in the past. I'm assuming that the recipes are once again just going to drop from PvP. They can be fairly profitable early on. It depends on how expensive the recipes are. If they turn out to be worth it, they do sell, but not for huge sums because they're very cheap to craft, and there's generally not that much there's generally relatively high competitiveness. The barrier to entry isn't that high for other people to enter it. So it can be nice, nothing amazing. There's also one new epic item here, which is a plate item. BOP. This does seem like a healer tank kind of thing, but it's for plate, so it's either for holy paladins or tanks. Gives you a shield when you take damage, or you have a chance to get that, and you can also get an extra shield by moving close to whoever also got the proc. So this seems like this is something that could be good. The movement thing is going to be probably pretty bad in raid, having to move close to someone else. So if the initial shield is actually good compared to other mitigation options, then this is going to be good. Otherwise, then it's going to be a non-factor. Might be more popular for healers. I don't know. Well, I'll have to see what the PvP and the PvE players tell us about how strong this is or isn't. Outside of that, there's not that much. We have a couple of new, fairly uninteresting potions. There's the 2 new healing type potions. So yeah, this is going to be better than the existent one, maybe. This heals you immediately and then a little bit over time. And this heals you a lot and then gives you a dot over time, taking a lot of it back. Then there's also 2 new Drake Watcher manuscripts. This is a fairly not uninteresting type of item. There's never any public orders up that are good for these, I find. I don't think you can make much money. Lastly, there's a toy. Obviously, we could see there's going to be people buying toys. Toy collectors do exist, but not a huge profit margin thing. The last of the interesting things is obviously the contract and Vantus Rune. Very obvious items. We always get these. Contract for Dream Wardens. How valuable this is obviously depends on how what sort of rewards we get from the Renown, which we don't know yet. I don't think we also don't know where we get the recipe yet. And the Vantus Rune is obviously gonna sell. Vantus Runes are fairly profitable overall, is my experience. But they're also quite competitive, and you're going to be stuck spending a lot of time crafting and just reposting because you'll get the sale or not within the first couple of seconds, as usual with anything else. So yeah, overall, 10.2 looks very similar to 10.1 with the recipes that are out on the PTR so far. Like, we're getting all the same categories, pretty much like 1-to-1 replacements for a lot of different items. And the only question mark, a little bit of a question mark, is the new embellishments. How strong are they compared to the current set? And of course, will this be the final cost for the crest? Will they actually use Dracothis, or is there coming another new material? Which I would sort of expect, but we'll just have to see. Either way, 10.2 is looking like a patch where whatever worked in 10.1, or the types of strategies that worked in 10.1s, are going to be the right ones for 10.2 as well. So yeah, good luck.